Meno Warriors, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm actually going to be answering some of the common questions I get as a result of doing these Menopause Mondays and after having spent 17 years plus in the mental and physical health space. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Kate Hartley and I share a weekly video with you every Monday about something related to menopause. If you have something you would like me to add, please leave me a comment or send me a private message. You can find me on Instagram at Kate Hartley UK and I'll be glad to add that into my rotation. If you find this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss future episodes. So just as an overview, first of all, when we become perimenopausal and then postmenopausal, because your menopause literally is just one day, it marks 12 months since you had the last day of your final period. The years running up to your menopausal day can last up to about 10 years. Those are known as your perimenopausal years, when your hormones are starting to fluctuate. They are definitely the worst stage of this entire process. Then you're essentially postmenopausal once your one day of menopause has happened, and it does get better. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be free of symptoms. If you work with your body and learn what supports your body and your brain, you're going to significantly improve your chances of healthy longevity, which is really what we all want to be aiming for, and also reducing your symptoms. Also understanding what is happening to your body and why you are responding to various foods and drinks and different stressors in the way you are. I always say to people to track, even if it's just for a couple of weeks, because that gives you a really good overview of what's working for you and what's working against you. It just gives you data. You've got weight loss goals. I always say focus on fat loss. We don't want to be going fat-free in the menopause. Cholesterol is the precursor of all our sex hormones. So one of the worst things that you can do, even if fat loss is one of your key goals, you still need to be eating your healthy fats. I always say also go for a range of different food sources. So don't just think of protein as one particular thing, whether you might be thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to eat chia seeds. Great plant-based protein. Think about, okay, I'm going to have chia seeds, I'm going to have some lentils, I'm going to have some chickpeas, I might scatter some milled linseed on top of that. With meat, I suggest also adding in some plant-sourced proteins. For tonight, for instance, we have chickpea dal, and I've also got some curried chicken breasts that I have left over from a couple of nights back, and we're going to include that with it. And it just gives you a wider range of protein sources. Same with our fruits and vegetables. You really want to be aiming for a wide range of fruits and vegetables every single day. Plants also include things like your nuts, your seeds, your herbs, your spices. Herbs and spices don't often get mentioned, but they are such powerful antioxidants. They can help improve your gut health. They can help improve your immune system. So don't be shy about working with herbs. For instance, my dal, there's ginger in it, there's cinnamon in it, there's clove, there's garlic, there's chili, there's a garam masala, coriander, a cumin, if I've not already said cumin, fenugreek I often stick in. Go for a wide range and don't be too worried about recipes. People always say to me, oh, what was the recipe? I never use a recipe. I literally just dump stuff in, and I normally just go with the pot and then out. I like lots of flavor of spice, and you don't get that really horrid curry smell or flavor the next day if you cook your own from home. Just be experimental. See what you enjoy. Spices and herbs have such profound healing properties on the body, and they make your food more interesting. So get creative with them. Things like fresh parsley, fresh coriander are two of my favorites. I cook with those pretty much every single day. I often add tarragon into my curries as well. It just gives it a lovely sort of, I don't know, it gives it a softer feel, softer flavor. And but get experimental, give things a try, see what you like, because you will only benefit yourself if you're having a wider range of different protein sources, different fats, different fruits and vegetables. Also know that fruits are not bad for you. They are full of really important properties that you need for your immune system, for your gut health. Gut health is absolutely key as a foundation. I know I keep banging on about gut health, but it is absolutely foundational. 70% plus of your immune system comes from your gut. 95% of your serotonin, one of your happy hormones, gets created in the gut. You have 400 times your potential to create your more relaxing and calming hormones in the gut than ever it does in the brain. Your gut is absolutely key. And if you're struggling with things like sugar cravings, fatigue, inflammatory disease, you may be developing autoimmune disorders. A lot of that There's so many studies out there now pointing to your gut bacteria. So I always recommend, if you're getting any kind of long-term issues, go and get a stool sample taken. Go and have your stool analyzed so that you can see what balance of bacteria you have in there. And it'll come back and it'll tell you which you've got a good amount of, which you've not got so much of, that you could perhaps have more of. And you can always do your own research then in the back end and excuse the pun, but get onto Google and say, okay, a lot of us are deficient in L-reuteri, for instance. That's the yogurt that I'm creating myself. I'm about to launch a gut health group. And so I'm sort of doing all the back end stuff myself so that I can actually say, I've tried it, this is what happens, etc., etc. If you've ever had the birth control pill, if you've ever had antibiotics, various other things, then even ibuprofen can really bugger up your gut hormones or your gut bacteria. And that will often have got rid of L-reuteri, which is really important. Healthy bacteria, there's quite a lot of information about that at the moment, which is why I'm saying that. But I mean, there's such a wide range of bacteria that we need to be functioning properly. So that just gives you an overview. Don't focus on weight loss, focus on fat loss, focus on body recomposition if you're wanting to get rid of a few extra pounds, because I know a lot of women do. That's belly fat loss is probably the main thing people ask me about, and also anxiety. I'm also an anxiety specialist, and that's what I offer. Well, we do a theme in my private Facebook group every month, and if you want to join that, there's a link in the description box below. It's completely free. Literally, I just share loads of information with you in there, and if you've got any sort of specific questions, you can message me. I'm in there several times a day. I am really active. If you're not an active member, I do remove inactive members because it's going to be, I'd rather have a much smaller engaged community where we're all supporting each other. I'm not having one of these huge Facebook groups that become completely bloated and nobody has a clue who anyone is, and we all lose our sort of relationship with each other. That is not what it is. So if you want to come in and be an active participant, we would love to welcome you in there. You also do need to answer the membership questions. Loads of people, they request to join and then I have to decline them. I will not let anyone in who doesn't answer the qualifying questions, because I want to make sure that it's safe for us all. And there's a lot of weirdos out there, there's a lot of bots and scams, and it's a filter. So you know that when you're in there, it's safe and it's a supportive community. So just go through the questions in sequence and hopefully it'll follow some cohesive flow for you. So first of all, what kind of exercise is best for a perimenopausal or menopausal woman wanting to get rid of the belly fat and just live a healthy, long life? Strength training and high intensity interval training. And I'm going to break those down. If you go to a gym, if you're brand new to fitness and you're thinking, I really want to get started, I'm going to go and join a gym. And they'll point the women to the Zumba classes and the spin classes. And we do dance workouts on a Friday evening, come and join that. And then if you're a bloke, I'll tell you exactly where the weights are. And that really pisses me off, because as women, we need to be strength training, take up space, be proud of your muscles. You will never get so bulky that you're going to be thinking, I've grown too much, particularly as we get older, because we just lose our capacity to build and maintain muscle because of, as estrogen falls, cortisol, one of our stress hormones, rises because the adrenal glands back at the job of the ovaries. I'm not going to go too scientific with it, but I want you to understand that with the job of the adrenal glands, that means that our cortisol levels rise. Cortisol is one of our stress hormones. And when cortisol rises, so does insulin, which is our fat storing hormone. So we're always working against that natural rise in cortisol and insulin as our estrogen levels fall. Whether you take HRT or not, everything I suggest today will be beneficial for you. I don't take HRT. I'm 54. I feel I'm in pretty good shape. I'd be slightly leaner if I didn't drink my 1.5 to 2 glasses of red wine every night and cut out some of the salted peanuts that I eat when I drink my red wine. However, I'm pretty happy how I am. I'm one of the happiest, healthiest people that I know. I focus on lifestyle changes, and I do take responsibility for learning new things and trying things out, and I do use myself as a guinea pig. And I'm going to actually report one of the things I've been doing recently, which is brilliant, and I'm really excited to report it to you too, because I think you'll be quite happy to hear that. But just on the what exercise should you be doing, you need resistance training. Now that can be barbells, it can be dumbbells, it can be resistance bands, it can be resistance loops, it can be body weight. But you do need to be incorporating some kind of resistance against gravity to keep your bones strong, to keep your muscles strong. You've probably heard of osteoporosis, that's brittle bone disease. That's because as the cortisol rises, it has a catabolic effect on the body. So it's nibbling away at your muscles, it's nibbling away at your bones, it's nibbling away at your skin structure. You know, men tend to age sort of gradually, and eventually one day they might start to look a little bit older. With women, it's just like literally, it's pretty much overnight. You look in the mirror one day and you think, holy heck, what's happened? And it happens as we go through the sort of perimenopause into our postmenopausal years. All of a sudden, it's just like, oh, I'm starting to look a bit older now. And it does happen to us faster. We don't have the testosterone levels that men do, which is why our skin tends to sag a bit more. I've got these gels and I'd love to get rid of gels, but I refuse to have anything injected into my body. If I'm like really rich and famous one day, maybe I'll get that lifted. I don't know. I will share it if I did. But I do think there's also something to be said about just glowing from the inside out. And there is so much that we can do. So strength training is going to boost your human growth hormone. That is the elixir of youth. So that is going to give you that youthful glow. It's going to give you the energy. It's going to help improve your gut health. Muscles also help to actually directly suck glucose out of your bloodstream. So if you're pre-diabetic, if you're diabetic, diabetes 2, I'm talking about, not diabetes 1, by having more muscle mass, you're naturally going to help your body become more sensitive to insulin, which is what you want. You don't want insulin resistance. You want insulin sensitivity. So by having more muscles, that also happens. You've probably heard about the myokines. Those are known as the hope molecules. There's a lot on social media about those at the moment. But essentially, when you're using your muscles, when you're contracting your muscles, it does put these myokines out in your body, which help you feel happier. There is nothing wrong. The only thing you can do that is negative about strength training is to do it without good form and then possibly injure yourself. I speak to so many women who have frozen shoulder. They get into perimenopause, sort of postmenopause, and they've all got frozen shoulder. That is, again, largely down to higher levels of inflammation in our bodies. So again, look after your gut health. And also doing exercises where they're probably not following correct form. I always say, follow a program. I follow workouts that I stream on my television. Whoever you follow, make sure that you're really focusing on good form. And if they're a good trainer, they will be prompting you to make sure that you're using good form. If you're doing it yourself in the gym, I would do a bit of research first of all, or just indeed maybe get a personal trainer for a couple of weeks, just so that they can show you good form, so you know what to do correctly and what you shouldn't be doing. But I bet you can easily find, there is definitely out on YouTube, there are loads of videos and information about good form for squats, for lunges, Arnold presses, kettlebell, hip thrusts, etc., etc. Go and do a bit of your own research, practice your form, and make sure that you're going to pretty much overload. When we're talking about weights and what is your ideal weight, it really depends upon you. What is your, we're all built differently. Our anatomies, you might have a stronger side, you might have a weaker side. Depending on how long you've been strength training for, depending on your overall level of fitness, will depend on the weights that suit you best. So there is no, you should be doing this weight. It really depends on your experience and what you feel works for you. For instance, if you're going to be doing 10 reps, you want to be lifting a weight that is heavy enough that by rep 8, you're thinking, I don't know if I can do rep 9 with good form. That means you've got the right level of weight for you, which probably means you're going to need a selection of bands and weights available to you. Because obviously, a bicep curl, you can probably lift heavier on a bicep curl than you can on a tricep curl, for instance. You could probably squat heavier weights than you can if you did a lunge. So you are going to need a range of different weights, but just start, maybe even just get a load of resistance loops, or bands rather. The bands are the long ones, the loops are sort of the rubber, the smaller ones. And that way, you're going to still really benefit, because with the loops and the bands, the more you're sort of, say you've got them around your thighs and you're moving your thighs outwards, the more you move your thighs outwards, technically the heavier that band becomes. And then obviously you move them inwards, it gets much lighter. But just working with loops and bands, and you can buy a set of bands for like maybe 15 quid. So there is no excuse about not being able to either house your dumbbells or afford the dumbbells, because you can do it with loops and bands if you choose to. Do squats with them. You know, put them under your feet, hold your hands up here with your bands, and use heavy enough bands so that by the time you've come up, it's hard to get yourself to standing, and make sure you're just using really, really good form. So that is what I would use as a process to understand what is the right weight for you. And you want to be doing, I would say, if you're new to fitness, sort of probably 2 times a week for strength training. I, on average, do 5 workouts a week, which are strength training based. Some of those will include a component of HIIT, really intense HIIT training. And obviously, when you're lifting weights, some of them are going to be more cardio based as well, because if you're using your arms above your head, you're always going to have a cardio component. There are some of my strength training workouts where literally I can feel my heart's about to pump out of my chest. That's a cardio component. But you really want sort of the far end of the scale when you're going through, and you want sort of perimenopause fitness for healthy longevity. You really want to be focusing on making sure that you can literally just about manage the final rep safely with good form. And when you're doing your HIIT training, depending on the sort of HIIT training that you're doing, I would say maybe like 30 seconds of literally all out, maybe sprint or running on the spot or mountain climbers or, some of those horrible moves. But do it for 20 or 30 seconds, literally full out. And then you stop for a few, maybe 20 seconds, let your heart rate come down a bit, and then you repeat it again for another 20 seconds or 30 seconds. Again, then let your heart rate come down for a few seconds, and then you repeat it again. And that's pretty much, maybe you want to do 3 different moves, but that would be your HIIT interval training. The long runs, the long bike rides, the long hikes into the mountains are great if you enjoy that sort of thing. If it's food for your soul, go ahead and do it. But also know that the endurance type training nowadays is probably having a negative impact on your body recomposition goals and also your weight loss goals, particularly if it's belly fat, because the more endurance type stuff, it's probably spiking your cortisol for longer than it needs to be. For instance, long distance running, long distance bike riding, etc. So you want to be making sure that you're always building up muscle rather than breaking it down. Another question I get asked a lot is about nutrition in general, but also specifically around the workout for strength training goals. I used to love intermittent fasting. I still love the concept of intermittent fasting. I don't like eating early in the day. I absolutely have to force feed myself to eat as early as I'm trying to eat nowadays. And that was my thing that I was going to share with you, that I'm really sort of excited that it's working so well. If you can eat within sort of 30 to 45 minutes of having woken up, before you do your strength training workout, and make sure it's got some carbs, so starchy carbs, so maybe oats or maybe a round of sourdough toast, something like that, and protein. You don't need loads of protein, around sort of 15 to 18 grams of protein. And then you do your workout, you will notice your body becomes so much more capable at doing that workout. So normally I eat, normally sort of between 10 and 11. I just don't feel hungry in the morning. And I've had to push that right forward now. And I'm really trying to do it. So whenever I get up, I'm trying to eat within a 45-minute window. Ideally, I'd bring that to half an hour after getting up. I just can't face it at the moment. But I'm literally, it's not a heavy meal. So it's Greek yogurt. It's berries on top. It's milled linseed or flaxseed. It's a few oats, rolled oats. So I've got my healthy carbs. I've got my starchy carbs, and I've got my protein in there. And I have that, and because it's refreshing, so it's got all the berries on top. I have blueberries, raspberries, and a few small mango chunks. That fuels my workout really well. But the other day I was doing a workout which really challenged me. There were lots of running, there were mountain climbers, there were running planks, there were all sorts of the sort of things that I really think, who have I got to? And it was just, and I'd slept badly, and it was, where is this all coming from? And the only thing I can think of is the eating earlier. So intermittent fasting is one of those funny ones. If it's still working for you and you're not getting the belly fat and you're feeling fine on it and your menopause symptoms are okay, continue with it, because we're all different. But on a generalized term, you may well want to stop your intermittent fasting if you're no longer getting the results, because it used to work for me really well too, and it was a real leap of faith to stop intermittent fasting. Plus, I loved it. And my last meal is probably about, it should be earlier, but I normally manage to eat my last meal by about 7 p.m. I'm writing a book at the moment, so my days are really, really long, and sometimes I don't eat until like 8:30, quarter to 9, and I'm trying to get strict with myself to stop that. So that's rarity these days, because it really affects my sleep as well, particularly if I'm looking at a screen later at night, but I really want to get this book written. So just be mindful of the fact that what used to work may no longer work. We need fruits and vegetables. We need food that humans would eat. Now, if you're following the carnivorous diet and you just think it's amazing, you're feeling incredible, great. That's good. Stick with it if you want to. However, long term, you are highly at risk of developing something like scurvy. Now, we don't really hear of scurvy anymore. That's what the sailors used to get when they used to go out to sea. It's a vitamin C deficiency. And you only need, I think it's less than 200 milligrams a day in order to keep scurvy away, of vitamin C. You need fruits and vegetables to be healthy. Your gut health needs fruits and vegetables for the antioxidants, for the fiber. So if you're only following the carnivore diet, while it might be serving you right now, I honestly don't think it will serve you long term. So don't come off it just because you think, oh, well, Kate said it's not going to work very well. Be mindful of it. And as soon as you start feeling not great, rather than looking for pills to fix it, look at what you might want to include back into your diet, into what you're eating, because we need our vitamins and minerals. We need our B vitamins, things like rice, legumes, all those sorts of things. I struggle with legumes. They make me very gassy. The way I can eat legumes is to soak them and rinse them lots for a couple of days before I eat them, and then I can eat them with no problem at all. If you also struggle with legumes, by adding spices, then that can also really help how your body functions better. Especially if you use a bit of clove and cinnamon in particular are really good for your gut health. So all the spices and herbs are, but clove and cinnamon, both of those, you only need a small amount. I've actually got some, I get ground cloves. I've got some whole cloves too, but I often use ground cinnamon and ground cloves. And my coffee and my raw organic cacao every day, I put a little bit of ground cinnamon powder in it. Helps to heal your gut, but clove is also the same. So if you're eating anything with spices, just add a little pinch of, maybe a teaspoon of ground cloves. You can't actually taste it, but you're going to be getting those healing properties from it. After your workout, that's when you want to be aiming for a more protein dense meal, and you want to be eating your post-workout meal for women around about within 60 minutes of having done your workout. For men, it can be a lot longer. It can be up to about 3 hours for a post-workout meal, but for us girls, we need to get the protein in. You're going to be looking at around about, between 30 and 60 grams of protein. And you'll be thinking, oh my God, that's huge. I'm going to have like a whole steak or something. Not really, because it's quite amazing how easily you can get your protein in. It could be 1 or 2 eggs. It could be 1 egg and egg whites. It could be egg whites and cheese. It could be egg whites and nutritional yeast. It could be Greek yogurt. It could be toast, cottage cheese, slivers of chicken or fish, or you have to work out what you like. It could be edamame. It could be tofu, tempeh. Go find the things that you like to eat that are higher in protein. If you click the link in the description beneath this video, there's my powerful proteins guide. It breaks down sort of the top animal and plant protein sources so that you can easily see which really are higher in protein. And again, go for a wider range of protein sources. You also want some carbohydrates. You want some starchy carbs after your workout, just to replenish your body, to make sure that your brain, so the hypothalamus in your brain is like your control center. When you're feeding your body properly, your hypothalamus is thinking, okay, I'm safe. I've got the glucose coming in from the starchy carbs. I've got the protein. I've got the healthy fats. So right, that's fine. I can manage the cortisol. So okay, right, now you can go and do your strength training, and I'm going to make sure that you get really good gains from the strength training that you're doing. When you're not feeding your body correctly, your hypothalamus is feeling lacking, And when the hypothalamus is feeling lacking, that's when your symptoms are going to get worse. It controls your menopause symptoms too. It's our sort of, it is just a major control center. So by making sure you've got healthy post-workout meal of starchy carbs, vegetables, protein, you're going to set yourself up for the rest of the day really successfully. In actual fact, it'll keep you full for ages as well. My typical post-workout meal is 2 eggs on top of a round of homemade sourdough toast with cottage cheese, with some crunched up avocado, with some cumin, some chili, a little bit of cloves, a little bit of cinnamon probably. I stick it everywhere. Some tarragon, some parsley, some fresh coriander. And then I'll have my egg on top of that, or my 2 eggs on top of that. And then I'll also have mushrooms, and I also have green beans. And then I top it all with nutritional yeast. And that gives me a really delicious, well-rounded, really filling, protein-packed meal that actually keeps me going for hours. So obviously you have to find the meals that suit you best. But to be quite honest, every single day I have my Greek yogurt with berries and linseed or flaxseed. And then my post-workout meal is my eggs and toast and beans and nutritional yeast, avocado and cottage cheese. I also have a muscle recovery drink. I have a protein shake after my workout. People are really funny about supplementation. I think as we get older, supplementation plays a really important role. If you're going to have a protein shake, make sure it's got the 3 branch chain amino acids. Those are the essential amino acids that we need for muscle recovery. So we've got leucine, valine and isoleucine. Leucine is the most important one. That helps you rebuild your muscle fibers. Isoleucine supports blood sugars and helps you function effectively through your workout. And valine plays a role in muscle endurance and repair. If you struggle with muscle soreness after you've done your workout, then you might want to supplement with a muscle recovery drink. So mine contains about 24 grams of protein. So again, it's a really quick, easy way to get more protein in. While I'm on protein powders, there are 3 available: the vegan, casein and whey. Whey protein comes from milk. It is the fastest absorbed version of all the proteins available to you. It contains all 9 levels of amino acids and is also high in leucine. And remember, leucine is probably the most important of the 3 branch chain amino acids. Casein is another milk-derived protein. It is slower digested by the body after you've done your workout, and it will release those amino acids after several hours. Some people like to take a protein shake before bed as well. So if you were going to do that, I would have the whey protein in the morning because it's fast acting directly after you've done your strength training workout, or whenever you do your strength training workout. And then I would have the casein one at night time if you're looking for further muscular protein support while you go to bed. Your vegan protein tends to come from pea, rice or hemp, and often it's a blend of those protein sources, so to make sure that you've got a full profile of the various proteins that you need. Also, just know that animal proteins do tend to be better absorbed by the body than vegan proteins. In that case, make sure you're eating a really wide range of plant sourced proteins to make sure that you're getting sufficient protein into your body when you need it most. Next question is around coffee. Should or shouldn't you drink it? Good quality coffee is actually good for you, but if you are predisposed to anxiety or depression or mood swings, then you may want to back off it. There's some really great herbal remedies that completely taste like coffee but have no caffeine in them at all. Check out Teachino. I think it's TEECINNO. If you Google it, iherb.com sell it, as does Amazon. I find it's better value on iherb.com, but you'll probably find other retailers that sell it too. So it is a little bit pricey, but if you want a healthy coffee alternative, which is completely caffeine free, I've tried it, I love it, I've gone through all their flavors and it's really, really nice. I don't take it with any milk or anything. You can have it black, and it's got really soft flavor, but a really rich flavor too. So check out Teachino. I've tried the Holland and Barrett coffee alternative, which was just like it was just like slightly vaguely coffee flavored dust. So I wouldn't go and do that one. I can't remember, bamboo I think it's called. It was horrible. If you like a decent cup of coffee, if you enjoy and can drink your caffeine, I would suggest have it later on in the morning, because when we first wake up, we have a sort of boost of cortisol that is probably at its maximum about half an hour after we've woken up, which is one of the reasons why you want to be eating within that sort of 30-minute to 45-minute window before you do your workout, or indeed before you start your day, because of that cortisol spike. When that cortisol spike is there, it's designed to get us up and going. There is nothing wrong with cortisol. We need cortisol in our bodies. However, most of us have too much of it, or we're doing things that are spiking our cortisol unnecessarily, right? Like eating ultra processed foods, like eating loads of refined sugars, like smoking, like drinking too much alcohol, or any alcohol if you're on that side of the fence. I love my red wine. I love my whiskey. I don't drink much whiskey, but I understand there's a big anti-alcohol community out there, and I think we just have to respect each other's choices. There is no need to be you're wrong, I'm right. I mean, look at how scientific evidence has like revealed things over the years, and remember, hark back to the cabbage soup diet that so many of us did, and it was completely wrong, particularly for menopausal women. That we live and we learn. But if you do enjoy your caffeine and you can drink it without having mood swings or anxiety kicking off, have it around about 11 o'clock. If some people will drink caffeine before they do a workout as like a pre-workout boost, and that's absolutely fine, so long as you're not getting sort of the jitters through your workout. If you are and you still love your caffeine, just combine that coffee with maybe a pre-workout meal, because I think when you're doing a workout on fasted stomach and you've had your caffeine, that can also have a negative impact on how your body reacts, and you won't get the most out of your strength training because your hypothalamus is already thinking, oh, I'm feeling jittery, I'm feeling anxious, cortisol's going up, your insulin's going up, and your body is not going to be directing the energy to the muscles like you want it to do in order to get the best out of your workout. While I'm on caffeine, I used to take a pre-workout drink. In fact, I still do, because I've still got some in stock. The company that I used to get my pre-workout from has stopped supplying it, so I'm sort of stuck having to do my own thing again now. But it does contain green tea extract, which is a type of healthy caffeine, along with beta-alanine and also quercetin. I believe in supplementation, particularly as we get older. I swear by adaptogen herbs. They help us regulate cortisol. So some adaptogen herbs will help you relax and sleep better. Others will help stimulate you. Others are great for cognitive function, for sort of mental clarity, as is creatine. Now, there's a lot of stuff out there which, the more I read and study creatine, the more I'm thinking it's just a load of BS. If you have kidney problems, don't take creatine. But if you're a normal functioning person, taking creatine should not give you any kidney function risk at all. We create creatine naturally in our bodies, in actual fact, but a lot of us are deficient in the amounts that we ideally want for optimal performance. Now, creatine, there's a lot of studies out there pointing to it helping cognition and our brain function. So if you're struggling with brain fog, memory loss, in menopause and beyond, consider taking creatine. It's not going to make you bulky. It's not like an anabolic steroid, and you might retain a little bit of fluid in your muscles. That often dissipates after a few weeks. That is not across the board either. Some people, there are myths out there, a bit like the kidney thing, that it'll make you lose your hair. That is like, there is zero evidence of that at all. In fact, that's been disproved. One thing I would talk about, just mention quickly in this, around hair loss, is Ozempic and the other weight loss injections. If you go into the beauty industry or the the cosmetologists and the hairdressers, there's so much evidence now around people taking those weight loss drugs that have got severe thinning of their hair and also their eyelashes. The adaptogens that literally I swear by. I'm also having to source my own, because the company that I used to get my adaptogens from, again, is no longer stocking them in the UK, which is a real shame. I used to take 8 every single day. Now I'm finding it very difficult to find another company that sells adaptogen herbs that are sourced from the country of origin above the vegetation line. That is so key. So don't go and buy cheap adaptogen herbs. You're wasting your money. They need to be grown above the vegetation line for them to have those adaptogenic properties. They help you regulate cortisol. They help you manage stress more effectively. Ashwagandha and reishi, those are probably best taken in the evening. They help you get more calm and relax a bit more. Shisandra, maca, and cordyceps, those are to give you energy and mental clarity and more focus. So you'd probably want to take those in the morning. Also know that most of us need a vitamin D3 supplement, because unless you're lucky enough to live in a warm climate and get good exposure to the sunshine, and you're not constantly slathering on sunscreen, which also blocks it, we do need vitamin D3. It's absolutely key to your mental health, your physical health, your immune system. And if you're having D3, I would also recommend combining that with a K2, because when we're having D3, it helps our bodies absorb calcium more effectively, as well as myriad other things. But I talk to a lot of women, because of the osteoporosis risk, they take calcium. Generally, you don't need a calcium supplement. And if you haven't got enough K2 in your body, which a lot of us are deficient in, K2 directs the calcium to where it needs to go. So rather than going into your arteries or your lungs, where you don't want it, you want it in your bones, your teeth, your... I've got a really annoying puppy here. Oh, you're so annoying. She wants some attention. So make sure, if you get a D3 supplement, just combine it with a K2, and then you're sort of quids in. Include anti-inflammatory foods. That also includes fermented foods. Even when you eat healthy these days, unless you grow your own food, a lot of the foods that we get access to, the soil is depleted, and with long transportation times, the freshest looking vegetables and fruits are often not that fresh unless you buy frozen. To be honest, I buy loads of frozen fruits and veggies. They're quick to prepare. I do believe they're more nutrient dense than the fresher versions. We need fermented foods for our gut health. So even if you don't like the flavor of something like kimchi, I would just add a small amount of kimchi just before you're serving up. So you don't want to boil it, because you'll kill off all the healthy bacteria, but it can actually make the flavors of your meal pop rather than overpowering them. The chickpea dal that we'll be having later, I will be adding a spoon, probably a tablespoon of kimchi to the top of that as well. And I'll just blend it in. You can't taste it, but you get the gut health promoting properties from it. And I promise you, when your gut health is on point, your menopause symptoms are going to significantly improve. And just feed your body like a human. Instead of the ultra processed foods, the cakes, the cookies, even the pastas to a degree, that stuff that's in the bottom of the pan after you've cooked your pasta. Well, if you don't drain that off, you're getting some of that stuff in your stomach as well. Go for the healthier version, so the healthier starchy carbs. So, maybe butternut squash or sweet potatoes, or wild rice and brown rice rather than white rice. Eat the quinoas, the bulgur wheats, the lentils, the legumes, because there you're getting such a better nutritional profile, rather than like the slices of lasagna or the quick pasta that so many people just love. But remember, it's probably the sauce that you love rather than the actual pasta itself. And pasta alternatives, zoodles, courgettes. You can, for 1 cup of rice, for the calories in 1 cup of rice, you can eat 10 cups of cauliflower rice. Same applies to spaghetti. You can have 1 cup of spaghetti. You can have like 5 or 6 cups of zoodles or courgettes. It's amazing how many of the sort of vegetable alternatives you can eat in comparison to the pastas and the less nutrient dense rices. People will say, but if I put my rice in the fridge overnight, it becomes more of a resistant starch and doesn't have such an effect on your blood sugars. That's true, but that change in the resistant starches is really tiny. So I think it is great. Everything like that is beneficial. The same with potatoes. You can cook your potatoes, put them in the fridge overnight, then you can reheat them the next day, and they have less of an impact on your blood sugars than they would do if you just ate them straight out of the pan or the oven or wherever you've cooked them. But again, that difference isn't that much. And if you're looking for optimal results and you want to get rid of some fat, you want fewer of those starchy carbs at the end of the day. Replace them with the vegetables, and it might take a bit of getting used to, but you soon do get used to it, and you'll notice the difference. Really, what are your goals? Because there's always a trade-off. Do I eat the cake and accept I'm going to put on the belly fat? Or do I forego the cake and have an apple, which is really healthy for me, and I'm not going to lay on the belly fat? There's always that decision. None of us is like, piece of cake. Ugh. That's not happening to any of us. We are all the instigator of the choices that we make. The thing is, so many of us go around on autopilot and we just think, oh yeah, and it's gone. And then once it's in, it's sending all these negative chemical messages in your body, which are not helping you get anywhere closer to your goals. If you eat the fruit, that's a different thing. Fruit's good for you. I would aim for the more of the berries if you can. They're one of the healthier ones because they're full of like so many superfood, antioxidants, polyphenols, high in fiber, and relatively low in sugar. But if you love a banana and you're thinking, oh, it's going to be the banana or the chocolate croissant, eat 3 bananas. Go for the bananas. Go for the dates. I have 2 dates after my lunch every single day. I've got some delicious medjool dates, and they're really good for you. They're not too high in sugar. They're a bit higher in sugar than some, a natural piece of grapefruit. However, they're a heck of a lot better than 2 biscuits. Plus, they've got a lot of other good things about them. They contain boron, they're high in fiber, they've got nutritional value, and they work. So I do consider everything you put through your mouth has a chemical message for your body, and you dictate, you choose what that chemical message is by making the choice of which foods and drinks you choose to eat and drink. So just be mindful of that. There is no passive nourishment. You make the choice of what messengers you're sending down into your body, and your results are essentially the community of those messengers that you put down there. Finally, ice baths. Are they good for you? I did quite a bit of research about this because I'm terrible with cold water, even though I know it's really beneficial. When I'm in Cornwall and I managed to swim through the entire winter with my sister and her friends with just a swimming costume on and wetsuit boots. And I make a lot of noise before I go into the sea. I have to, it's the only way I can get in. And where we used to swim, they're big waves most of the time. So you really are focusing on survival. We used to go early in the morning, so it was pitch black, and we'd have underwater torches so we could see the waves. And it was so much fun. And once I was in, it was amazing. But that's not an ice bath. And there is a big difference for a woman's body between an ice bath and cold water immersion. So with an ice bath, you're triggering that cortisol too much again. But if you're doing the cold sea stuff like we were doing, and she still does with her friends, I really do admire them. I mean, they just get in so fast, and I just fanny around on the beach for ages. I just can't do it. I do get in eventually, and but it has a really great anti-inflammatory effect on you. It's good for your mental health. You get that dopamine release afterwards. You just feel like that euphoric high. It's fun. I mean, the amount we shout and scream and laugh when we're in there, it's phenomenal. And I think we all need more of that shouting, screaming, laughing energy in our lives. But you might be glad to hear also that heat therapy is even more beneficial for you. So if you love the idea of a sauna, indulge. And a sauna after your workout is even better, because when you finish your workout, even if you drink plenty of fluid throughout your workout, you're going to be slightly more dehydrated than if you hadn't done your workout. By going into the heat after you've done your workout, and I know dehydration long term makes your body hang on to fat. Long-term dehydration is not good. We're talking about a short-term thing here. So no more than 30 minutes in a hot sauna, warm to hot sauna. It helps improve your red blood cell creation. And that has a positive impact on your recovery, everything basically. Infrared or Finnish, Swedish sauna. Infrared saunas don't really get hot enough. Infrared therapy, if you've got one of those face masks or body panels, that's really, really good for you. But that's not going to have that heat positive effect like a sauna will do. So it might be that you want to do both if you're able to stretch that in your budget. But definitely heat therapy after a workout is incredibly beneficial for you. And if you love your cold swimming, that's beneficial too. Perhaps do your cold swimming and sauna and really get the benefit out of everything. So finally, menopause. You can make such a massive difference to your experience of the menopause by making just a few lifestyle changes. So that is not restricting what you're eating. It is cutting out or significantly reducing ultra processed foods. It is cutting out or significantly reducing your refined sugars and artificial sweeteners. Oh, I was doing some more research on that, and that is actually fascinating. I might do a whole episode on that. But because your tongue has taste buds on it, and we notice when we've had something sweet. Well, with an artificial sweetener, you're getting that, okay, I've had something sweet. So your body's thinking, okay, where's the sweetness coming from? Well, I've not got the sugar yet. I'm waiting for the sugar. Because small amounts of sugar are not bad for us. Otherwise, we wouldn't have sugar taste buds on our tongue. It's the fact that we eat too much sugar, and it's in the processed foods, it's in the refined sugars, it's in the cakes, the cookies, and everything else that we think we're treating ourselves with. But we're not, we're just really poisoning our bodies. But artificial sweeteners, I would cut them out too. Just get used to not having the sweetness. You will take a couple of weeks to adjust, and then all of a sudden you will think, why the heck did I ever put sugar in my teas and coffees, or whatever you eat. Focus on strength training, getting those bones and joints strong, and high intensity interval training, and make it really high intensive interval training. Follow a program or get a PT or get advice from somebody who can literally watch what you're doing, make sure you're using good form, and run your own race. If your neighbor, your friend, your sister is lifting so and so weights, do what you feel suits you best. Or if you don't want to get weights, just get yourself a really good set of resistance bands. The sets come with like different weight sort of classifications on them, and you'll get the purists that say, oh, you'll never get the same workout with bands or loops that you do with weights. I got amazing results with bands and loops before I actually invested in my weights. So yes, you can. Again, it's like the extreme fence sitters. Go with what you can afford. Go with what fits in your space that you have available to you, and go with what you think is going to suit you best. You can always change things up at a later date. Focus on fat loss, not weight loss. So you're looking for body recomposition, which means eating food as fuel, feeding your muscles, and really working to pretty much your max ability during each workout, and possibly stopping at number 8 out of 10 reps if you cannot maintain your good form for those final 2 reps. Form over everything so that you keep yourself safe. Track what you're doing. So track your food, track your drink. If you start to add in supplements like creatine or your branched chain amino acids, track how you're feeling. Track each workout. How did you perform? How do you feel you did? Do your own rate of perceived exertion. So out of 10 or out of 5, did you do a 4 out of 5 workout today? And why? Did you feel like you had more in the tank? Were you able to lift heavier? Were you able to do more push-ups in a 30-second session? That sort of thing. So you can track your progression, and it will give you a really good idea of what's working for you and what's not working for you. Things like adaptogen herbs, again, track it. If you start to take ashwagandha and you're having it before bed and you think, oh, actually, my sleep's really improving. Okay, well, the ashwagandha's working. If you were thinking, no, it's not really working, no change, cut out the ashwagandha. You might want to take a magnesium complex. That can help you sleep. Magnesium glycinate, some people say that helps them sleep better. I take a sleepy tea. It's just a herbal mix of chamomile, valerian, lavender, all sorts of things that help calm me. I think there's a big psychological component to that as well. I love the flavor. It tastes off. And because I've had it, I think, oh, I'm going to sleep better. It doesn't really matter whether it's a placebo effect or not. If it makes you sleep better, have it, take it. But track things so that you can understand if it's having a positive impact on you. If you cut out caffeine, be aware of your joint health, because a lot of people who have joint pain, after they've cut out caffeine, they notice their joint pain goes. That happened to me too. And it's recently happened to a friend of mine who absolutely loves caffeine or coffee and just thought, oh, I can't do it. Bought the Ticino instead, and joint pain has gone. So it does work. So that might be something that would really benefit you if you decide to cut out your caffeine. Be open to change, be open to being your best sort of inquirer. I think we all have to treat ourselves as guinea pigs, and we all also have to take responsibility for our own health and wellness. And the thing is, by doing that, you're not handing off your sort of health to maybe the doctor their training in menopause is tiny. Their training in nutrition is tiny. So, do your own research as well. Have a look at some of those adaptogen herbs that I mentioned today: cordyceps, ashwagandha, reishi, maca, astragalus, schisandra. Take a look at those, or just do a list. Say, go into Google and say, what are the best adaptogen herbs to help me sleep? What are the best adaptogen herbs to get me the most out of my workout? What are the best adaptogen herbs to help me deal with anxiety or depression? And it will come up with, probably the best options for you. Remember, your gut health is absolutely key to everything. So feed your gut, give it the fruits and the vegetables, give it the fermented foods. That is going to help support your mental health, your immune system, your menopause symptoms on so many different levels. And just know that you are so capable of probably so much more than you're considering right now. Literally, when I first went through perimenopause, I was quite young. I was done with my whole thing by about sort of early to mid 40s. I'm now 54. And I was waking up with the worst night sweats. And then came the horrible hot flushes. Then came the crushing anxiety, the such a sore mouth, dry eyes, then joint pain. And through all of this, I've sort of worked through, I suppose, some of the most belly fat, some of the most common symptoms, and I've found the ones that work for me and also work for the ladies that I've worked with as well. It is not just a quick fix. It is not some gimmick. It is not some fad. When you treat your body like a human body and fuel it like a human body with foods that it needs, not that it's craving. Also, just know that a lot of food is designed to be addictive, like the ultra processed foods, like the cakes, like the cookies. So it might take a couple of weeks of pretty pretty hard on discipline from you to overcome that. But you will find within sort of 5 or 6 days, if you can get off the sugar and get off the processed foods, you will notice a remarkable difference. It doesn't take too long. It might take 2 weeks for your taste buds to change completely if you like sugar in your tea and coffee. But to get off that need for the sugar, that craving for the sugar, that happens quite fast. And if you want any additional support, just join my Facebook group, because that we're doing a sugar detox at the moment, and you can join and catch up with it. Everything stays in the group; it doesn't get removed, so you can always go back through. And there's lots of resources that I've shared in there. I've also shared a hypnotherapy download to help you reduce alcohol if that's something you want to cut out or just reduce. There's a lot of really good information in there, and plus we're a very supportive and proactive community. So if you join, get involved with it, and it'd be really lovely to get to know you better as well, because YouTube is a bit sterile, and even if you leave comments and I reply to your comments, there's only so far that goes. So if you'd like to join the community, we would love to welcome you in there. Hope you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes. If you've got anything you'd like me to cover in a future episode, just let me know and I will add that to the rotation. And I will look forward to chatting with you again next week. Thank you so much for your company.